Hello, everybody. Fiasco here today. And if you remember, about a year and a half and some change ago, I used to do these tier list videos. We did a lot of stuff on the DVC resorts as well as Disney animated films. And we're bringing those back. But we're bringing those back exclusively on our Patreon account, patreon.com/thedisunplugged. All that information to get there will be in the description below. But I thought I would put one out here for everybody to check out. And basically, if you don't know, what a tier list is we take everything, we take a bunch of stuff from a category. In this case, it's going to be Walt Disney World Resorts. And we're going to rank them against each other. So if something ends up at a bottom of the ranking, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It could mean it's bad, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means that holding up against all the other resorts in this case, it just happens to be at the bottom. So I will go ahead and bring up the tier list now. Here it is. We are going to be covering today Walt Disney World Resorts. And how I want to rank these, because I have not stayed in every single room. I've stayed in most of these at some point, but I haven't stayed in all of them. And then some of them I've stayed far more often than others. So for this list today, I want to specifically rank these resorts based on their amenities, not necessarily how nice the rooms are or the array of different rooms you have to choose from, but specifically, besides that, what this resort has to offer. Okay? And just for a little bit of information on the rankings, we have S being the top. That's the best you can possibly get. Just think superior. It's the best of the best resorts. A is almost perfect. You know, it's not the best really, but it's almost there. If it had a few more things about it, it could be. B is above average. C is average. D is below average. And E is ouch. This one is hurting. All right. So let's get started. Starting off with Animal Kingdom Lodge. This has a spa. It's a very small spa, and it's like just for, you know, like one person kind of thing. It's not like a big senses or anything like that, but it does have it. As far as dining is concerned, it's one of the better resorts. So many dining options from Sanaa to Boma to Jico. Even the Mara, their quick service is fantastic. And I mean, come on, it has a friggin' savannah. Like, the way I describe Animal Kingdom Lodge all the time is if it had nothing to do with Disney and you picked up this resort and plopped it anywhere in the country, people would still come just because of what it is in itself. And I think that's a great way to start off this list because Animal Kingdom Lodge is S tier. Top notch. You can't get much better than that. Then we move on to the All-Stars, movies, music, and sports. Okay, so I personally have a fondness for the All-Stars. I always make the joke that All-Star Music is my home resort before I owned DVC. Just because of that's where we stayed every time we came on vacation. We either stayed at All-Star Music or movies 9 out of 10 times. But with that being said, as nostalgic as it is for me, we really can't argue that they are not the bottom of this list. Because they are. The amenities that they offer is just your cafeteria, your basic gift shop. The gift shops usually are pretty cool, though. And then, you know, your pools. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it would be at the bottom in comparison to the rest of the resorts. Art of Animation. I'm going to put that there for now, right in the average. Definitely a notch up from the All-Stars, but when we start to factor in the price difference, I don't know. I don't know how focused on the price I should be on this list, but I definitely think I should keep price in mind because it's a factor, right? It's definitely a factor. And while Art of Animation obviously is, you know, everybody loves their food court. The Art of Animation food court is famous, is a famous favorite of many. And the themings of the room, people, especially families with kids, the theming of those themings of the room is a hit. It's a big hit. but the price does jump up pretty significantly at most points of the year from the All-Stars. So we'll see. For now, I'm going to leave it an average, though. Next up, we have Beach Club. Another resort I really like. Their pool is arguably the best, the coolest pool. They do have a spa with ship shape. Dining options, not so much. Don't love the dining options at Beach Club. Don't hunt me down for saying that. I think I don't like Cape May. That's no secret. And I mean, Beaches and Cream is fine. I think it's overrated. So, and I know we're not counting rooms, but if we were counting rooms, I'd also say the rooms are in a real need for a rehab. Not speaking specifically on DVC side, but speaking on hotel side, the rooms definitely need a rehab. But we're not counting that. That doesn't count because we're not talking about rooms. But with all the other factors in there, I'm also going to say this is average for now. And things can move. We can change our minds later, and that's fine. The Boardwalk. There's so much cool about the Boardwalk. Of course, they have their pools. They also have the Wyland Galleries and other shops. Much more shopping than your everyday other resort. Possibly the most shopping? The most shopping and dining options? Yeah, maybe next to Grand Floridian. Grand Floridian's a contender with that too, but there's a lot. The Boardwalk's got a lot going on for it. Without a doubt above average, right? But I actually would be, I'd lean closer into the A class. Next up, Caribbean Beach. So it isn't often that a moderate resort has a killer table service sit-down restaurant. And in the case of Caribbean Beach, they did have Sebastian's, and that was one of my favorite restaurants for a long time. But since they've gone to a fixed, like, family style menu, I've yet to return and check it out. From what I've looked at the menu, all the things that I really, really loved about Sebastian's are gone. So I've been not as enthused as I'd like to be to get back there. However, right next door, you have Banana Cabana, which is a pool bar, and I would argue it's the best pool bar on Walt Disney World property. What leads me to that is, A, they got a really cool theme where they bring your food out in these, like, hammocks. It's really cute. But on top of that, since Sebastian's closed originally at the beginning of the lockdowns, they moved their appetizers to Banana Cabana, and you can still get them there. You can still get those pull-apart rolls there. You can still get their chicken wings there. And it is so good. Just as good as it was at almost just as good as it was at Sebastian's, because they did get rid of one of their dipping oils, which was my favorite dipping oil. But you can still get it there at the pool bar, and that's awesome. Because of that, and because it's a moderate that has that, I will be putting it in the above average tier. And I know I can already see the comments coming in now about me putting Caribbean Beach above Beach Club. But hey, hear me out. Caribbean Beach is a moderate. Beach Club is a deluxe DVC resort. And just thinking about what Caribbean Beach has as a moderate, I think it does rank a little higher. Contemporary's got a lot going for it. I feel like we have to in the case of some of these DVC resorts, we have to consider it as a whole, because we're not going to rank Bay Lake Tower separately from Contemporary Resort, just as we're not going to rank Copper Creek separately from Boulder Ridge. If this was a DVC tier list, we may be doing that, but we're not. So in the case for this resort tier list, Contemporary and Bay Lake, that all is going to be considered together. I mean, you got Steakhouse 71. You got the monorail to the Magic Kingdom. That's a big amenity. You got a walking path to the Magic Kingdom. That's a really big amenity, and I think at that point, all the rest is just extra. It's a top-tier resort. Because we could keep going with more cool amenities you have at the Contemporary, but right there, awesome restaurants, walking path to the Magic Kingdom, monorail to the Magic Kingdom. I mean, I'm sold. It's top tier. Coronado Springs, now including Grand Destino Tower. This again is a moderate resort with all those amenities. Lots of dining. Lots of awesome walking trails. A convention center if that's what you need or if that's what you're there for. They host events there sometimes like pin trading nights. I feel like all it needs is a nice spa and it's a top tier resort as a moderate. But no, that's going to make people too angry if I put it above Boardwalk. So I'll put it next to Boardwalk. How about that? I think Coronado Springs is an A tier now. Considering it's in the moderate category and everything that it offers in there. Yeah, it's great. And just like, you know, this is the same tier as like Art of Animation, Port Orleans, you know, and it Grand Destino Tower just feels deluxe. It doesn't feel like it does not feel like a moderate at all. And you got the awesome dining up there too at Toledo. As I'm talking more and more, I'm about to push this in the S, but I don't want to cause a riot of putting it above Boardwalk. So I think A is a good place for it to live. Fort Wilderness. This is a tough one to rank because if you're staying at Fort Wilderness, you're not staying there for probably the same reasons you're staying at the Grand Floridian or Contemporary. You're not looking for those amenities, right? You're looking for the wilderness, either a campsite or a cabin. So this is a tough one to rank, and I almost want to say it wouldn't be fair to rank it under the guidelines that we set for this list, because we're ranking the resorts based on amenities, right? And I don't think it's fair to put Fort Wilderness in here. So I'm going to go ahead and leave them out for now. Disney's Grand Floridian. Dining, obviously a slam dunk. You can go as low or as high as you want. You want to have a cheap lunch? Gasparilla's is there. You want to have something a little bit nicer, have a nice dinner, put on a button up and a dress and have a nice date? You got Citricos and you got Narcoossee's. And if you want to have the fanciest meal of your life, you have Victoria and Albert's. And then if you want a spa, they got one of the best spas. And you know what else? They got a walking path to the Magic Kingdom now too. So regardless, I mean, I'm not saying this is my order of favorite resorts. This is just ranking based on its amenities, and I don't think we can argue that Grand Floridian doesn't have top tier amenities, because they do. They do have top tier amenities. And honestly, since it does have its own walking path to Magic Kingdom now, and it also has a spa that Contemporary does not, I think it's above Contemporary as far as that goes. Disney's Old Key West Resort. Guys, I know it's a favorite of many, and I see why. I love Old Key West too. I think Olivia's is a great homey feeling location. You walk in, you see all the pictures of Old Key West DVC resort owners, and it reeks of that sentiment of welcome home. No doubt about that. But its amenities, it's falling really, really short in that category. Got one of the smallest gift shops, smaller than most of the value resorts. Most of the All-Stars got better gift shops. Dining locations, we just covered it. It's Olivia's, and then they got the Crooked Suitcase or whatever it's called. That's whatever next door, and that's about it. So I'm sorry, I love Old Key West too, but its amenities suck. It is what it is. Polynesian Village Resort. Okay. You got boats you can rent. which is pretty cool. That's true of a lot of these DVC resorts. As long as it hits a lake or something, you can probably rent a boat. So that's awesome. Dining, you have Ohana, you have Kona. And they also, if you're a drinker, which I'm not, you also do have Trader Sam's, which is a absolute fan favorite. They also have like the dinner show that you can do as well. I've never done the dinner show at Polynesian. Maybe that's something I need to do and review in a future video. Let me know if you want to see that. But I've never done that. But they have that too. That's something that's going for it that other places don't have. And also, you get a view of the water parade. That's really cool. Most resorts can't say that. Polynesian, solid A tier. Almost to the amenities of the top tier, but I don't think it's quite there yet. Almost, though. Almost. Pop Century. I mean, yeah, it definitely is a step up from the All-Stars as far as their food court goes, but that's about it. So I will say it can rest safely in the below average category. Now we got two more moderates, our last two moderates. Port Orleans French Quarter and Port Orleans Riverside. I think definitely step-ups from All-Stars and Pop Century as far as amenities are concerned. Food options are obvious. They have their basic food court type style area. And in fact, that's all French Quarter has. But they do have more unique menu items at that food court than you would normally find. And then Riverside does have their regular food court as well as a sit-down restaurant, which has not been loved by members of the team. But hey, I have not been back to Boatwright's in over 6 years. I can't tell you if it's good or not. All I can tell you is it does offer a table service restaurant at a moderate, which is good. It's cool. It's cool that they offer it. And I'm trying to think. I believe that's the extent of extras we're getting. So with that being said, I think they both would fall somewhere around there. With Art of Animation still being probably the most beloved value to moderate food court, while also having awesome theming for families with kids. And again, like if this was a ranking of my personal favorites, this list would look entirely different. This is my personal favorites. This is amenities. So next up, we have Riviera. Riviera is falling into, deluxe DVC territory. So with that, we have Topolino's, which is incredible. Incredible. I go out of your way. Breakfast and dinner, I think, is just slam dunk. Primarily dinner, I think, is amazing. You're super close to Epcot, so that proximity to Epcot, you got the Skyliner, which is great, especially if you like the Skyliner. You also can walk to Caribbean Beach, which some people would probably consider a con because it ruins their immersion. But I personally really like that because it just expands my dining variety that much more. I can hop over to Banana Cabana and grab those pull-apart rolls if I want, and grab those wings if I want. They also do have a quick service location, which I think is quite all right. But in that same token, does it meet the amenities of Polynesian, Boardwalk, Contemporary, Grand Floridian, Animal Kingdom Lodge? Does it have all the same things and extras that those places have? No, it doesn't. And if we were considering the rooms and how beautiful and updated the rooms are, Riviera would get a lot of points there because their rooms are brand new and super updated and super beautiful. But we're not necessarily counting the rooms. We're not saying that we're staying at these resorts. We're saying if we want to spend the day there, spend some time there, what kind of amenities do they have? And Riviera falls short with some of these other ones. I still say it's above average, but it's falling short with some of these other DVC resorts. Saratoga Springs. Now hear me out. One of the most underrated resorts of all time. The resort of last resort. There's always availability. That's true. But Saratoga, man, talk about bang for your buck. Does the dining there suck? Absolutely. Turf Club was not great. Artist Palette, I used to love. But they dumbed down that menu a lot last year. But their gift shop is pretty good. Not only is their gift shop pretty good, we're talking about amenities here. They got great pools. They've got a great spa. And not to mention, a walking path to Disney Springs is an amenity. That opens up so much dining for you. So much dining. So if we're considering the walking paths to be an amenity, which we've done up to this point, the walking path to Disney Springs is most certainly an amenity. And in that case, doesn't Saratoga Springs have access to more dining than any other resort? With a spa? With a golf course? Does Saratoga Springs have top tier amenities? I think it does. I think it does. And again, we're not saying, the bus system is rough. It is, because Saratoga Springs is so large and sprawling that getting your bus to the park can be a hassle. I always recommend people, you're going to up your experience at Saratoga, I think, a little bit if you have a car. If you have a car with you. I stand by that. But for the amenities that it offers, I think it's top. It's top to me. It really is. Now, next, my personal favorite resort. The atmosphere that I enjoy the most. My home resort, my DVC home resort, Wilderness Lodge. It doesn't have a spa. It has a lot of great dining, though. It has boat rentals. It doesn't have a walking path. Or, it does have a boat, though. It does have a boat ferry. So it does have that extra ease of access. And some people do prefer the boat probably the most. So I'll account for that. But it doesn't have a savannah. It doesn't have a walking path, which I feel like is a big selling point. See, the S tier right now is held by resorts that all have walking paths to a big WDW attraction point, like a theme park or Disney Springs, or it has so much you wouldn't even want to leave, like Animal Kingdom Lodge with its savannah. And I think the top tier should stay reserved for those resorts. So for that reason, I think Wilderness Lodge would comfortably fit around Poly and Boardwalk. And actually, Poly could be considered to have a walking path too, but it's going to be very far. You're going to be walking a while. But you can walk to Grand Floridian from the Poly, and then from there you can walk to Magic Kingdom. And then the Boardwalk also does have... This is tough because the Boardwalk also, you can walk right to Epcot, right? So can you at Beach Club and Yacht Club. So I'm actually convincing myself that things need to move around a little bit. I think Boardwalk needs to go up. I think Saratoga can sit happily in A. Because that was not fair. That was not fair to give Magic Kingdom's walkways the pass, but not Boardwalk and Beach Club. And for that same reason, I think Beach Club and Caribbean Beach kind of should shift a little bit. So, yeah, that makes a lot more sense to me right there. And then, yeah, Yacht Club. Yacht Club. How does Yacht Club compare to Beach Club? They're probably the most comparable. Let's look at those side by side. Both have the ease of access to Epcot. Both share that pool, and both share the spa of Ship Shape. So, I guess what it really comes down to, the hotels themselves are also basically the same layout. Just one is a DVC side and one is fully not DVC. So I guess really the only thing that really tosses the coin between Beach Club and Yacht Club is the dining. And I think Yacht Club has the better dining. I do. I think Yachtsman's Steakhouse is better, in my opinion, than any of the food offerings at Beach Club. And then everything else is kind of, like with Ale and Compass and everything, is just kind of meh. So I'm still going to stick with saying that it's not fair to rank Fort Wilderness in the category of amenities, because that's let's be real, if you're staying at Fort Wilderness, you're not looking for amenities, you're looking to camp in the wilderness, you know? So it should not even rank on this list. But it'll rank in a different list we do. And we'll do more of these lists every single week, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. on Patreon. Again, all that information can be found in the description. But before we end, let's go through our rankings for resort amenities from least to greatest. Starting with Old Key West, it's a DVC favorite. It is very much, you feel that welcome home when you're there, and owners should be proud to own there. But for amenities, it lacks, especially in the DVC category. We have all the All-Stars. I mean, what's to be said about that? Like I said, I love the All-Stars. I have serious nostalgic ties to all the All-Stars resorts except sports, because it's sports. But, you know, movies and music, I've stayed there more times than I can count, and I'll always love them. But again, it's amenities, and they don't got them. Our below average category, we got Port Orleans, both sides, and Pop Century. Same thing. It's a step up from the All-Stars, but with the amenities, again, they leave some to be desired. Our average category is Caribbean Beach. For a moderate, Caribbean Beach has access to so many amenities with that ease of access to Riviera. You can walk right to Riviera and basically enjoy what they have to offer too, as well as it having its own table service restaurant and a really cool gift shop. Really cool gift shop. Art of Animation, again, bump up, but that beloved food court. It's arguably the most favored and best moderate to value food court on property. And you know what? I agree with them. I agree with the people who say that. I say that. Our above average category, we have Beach Club and Yacht Club. And then also Riviera Resort. All great resorts offering great amenities, but in comparison to the resorts we're about to mention that are a little bit higher than them, there's less. Starting with just a great example, Coronado Springs is a moderate resort with moderate prices. Many times will be cheaper than almost every resort on this list besides the All-Stars. Many times you'll find the rooms to be cheaper. And it just offers so much. You go into the new Grand Destino Tower, it's deluxe. You can't tell me it's not deluxe, except for the fact that the prices don't say that. You have great dining at Toledo, and just lots of great dining all over the resort. So many, it's almost like you walk over, and the sports bar I don't think is good, but you walk over to that area, and you almost feel like, am I in a little mall? I almost feel like you're in a little mall for a second. You got like restaurant there, restaurant here, shop over there. This place got a lot going for it, all right? Wilderness Lodge, Polynesian, and Saratoga Springs. Well, Wilderness Lodge, obviously, we got the boats. You can take the boat to the Magic Kingdom. You got great dining options. You're missing a spa. You got salon at the Springs, but that's not a spa. You need to be able to do massages for me to really be like, that's a spa. And it doesn't have that. And it also doesn't have a walking path, which every other resort above it has, conveniently. So Wilderness Lodge is at the very tippity top of our ranking list of places without a walking path. Everything after it has one. Polynesian being the next one. It doesn't have its own dedicated walking path, but if you're willing to go a little bit farther, walking to Grand, Floridian, then MK, it has one. As well as its own dinner show. It has a dinner show if you want to pay the extra and do that. That's a cool offering. And it also has a fake beach. Fake beaches are cool on vacation. Number one in the A-list is Saratoga Springs. Probably the most surprising ranking, I'm assuming, so far. But listen, we're talking about amenities here. And this resort has awesome pools. It has a golf course. It has its own spa, one of the best spas on property. And you can walk to Disney Springs. I mean, You can't tell me this resort kicks it out of the park with amenities. Sure, the table service restaurant leaves some to be desired, but it's got a lot going for it too. And if the table service was as good as some of these other resorts, this would have lived in the S tier, I think. Boardwalk. Again, Boardwalk fans, I'm sorry I ranked this so low at the beginning of the list. It is up where it deserves now. The S tier where it deserves. I completely forgot to count in the Epcot walking path for the points that so does deserve, because it so does deserve it. And then we got Contemporary and Grand Floridian, both with dedicated Magic Kingdom walking paths, great dining, and Grand Floridian sneaking out a little bit higher than Contemporary just because, wow, does it have more shops than your average Disney resort. You have the regular Disney store in there. You have Basin. You have the DVC store. Then you have a clothing and perfume store. A lot of shopping to do at Grand Floridian that I wish they did that at more resorts. I love that idea of just having like a little shopping plaza inside your resort. It's cool. I love that. Number one, and this is the hill that I will die on, Animal Kingdom Lodge, arguably the best all-in-one resort at Walt Disney World. I again stand firm to the belief that if you picked this up and put it anywhere in the world, it would be a success. As long as you didn't skip on any of the quality and the animals still had the amazing savannah that they have there, just incredible. All those dining options too. You could go out and do a personal safari. That's a whole vacation in itself. You don't even need to go to the parks. You could take a vacation to Animal Kingdom Lodge. And while you could say that about some other resorts, it would be a bigger stretch. It would be a bigger stretch, I think. So with that is going to do it for our resort amenities tier list. Again, if you want to see more of these, I will be posting them weekly over on our Patreon account. I really hope to see you over there, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.